and first and foremost, our gratitude to the chief guest, Mr. Karthik Krishnamurthy sir, for being here. I was just able to overhear a few words of his while I was in the chair, and thank you so much. It was enlightening, actually. Secondly, I would like to acknowledge the gratitude to the management, because they are the people who are forcing and making us to see to that our faculty are upskilled, not just the skill training going to the students, but faculty. This is a wonderful, I can say it's a blend what I have never seen. Students getting upskilled, faculty parallelly getting upskilled. This is really good, sir. I take this point and seriously, I will make it as a point worth to be noted and recorded in the department, heads of the department meeting, because this is really wonderful initiative and very good idea. Usually, we always think that FDP will do it only when vacations are there and students are there. But with students and faculty going hand in hand upskill, it's something nice, and all the credit goes to the head of the department. Thank you so much for organizing such programs and making the department and the institution always be in the forefront of the technology. The market is so dynamic, and we need to try the market. The snake walk will never work. They'll make us to be the backdoor, entry point, exit points rather. So thank you for that. Also, all this we say is possible because of the coordinators, Dr. G. Manikanta and Dr. Anupam Kumar Pandey. Congratulations to both of you. You have done an excellent job, and as per what he said, there should be very good speakers lined up the whole week, where you are going to gain a very good knowledge on what is required in the market today and what is required for you to get the enhancement, so that you in turn is going to bring in that points in the students' mindset, so that they are employable and they are sustainable, not just employable but sustainable. Of course, I could say there are 4 sustainable factors that you have touched upon, 7, 9, 11, 13, because I cannot read everything here. Icons are quite this one, and I have not memorized those 17 factors in my with me, so I don't remember all that. Probably it will touch upon all the aspects of energy and industry, climate and
sustainable cities and communities.
Community. Yeah, that's very nice. So you are also in the sustainable mode. It's wonderful. Also, all the faculty, I could see that they are here eagerly to know what's going to be taught to you, as you need to be in line with the student and in line with the industry demands. So please take all this 6 days, 7 days program, whatever it is. I know it's going to end on 6th festival day.
27.
Because this is also festival. I don't know how many of them will be here. But please make a point to attend at least till Monday. Reason is, the world is completely AI enabled. You take up anything. Just today, I was when these 2 coordinators came to me. I was in the class. I was delivering RM class and the literature survey part. I know we used to spend huge amount of our time doing the literature survey, and always there are incidents where I myself has witnessed being an examiner, an Indian examiner and foreign examiner. When the literature survey is poor, the whatever research they have done is actually null and void. Reason, the same work would have been carried out by somebody at some point of time. Because of the lack of literature survey, you are not able to claim yourself and defend yourself. But today, AI, especially ChatGPT, it is going to give you all literature survey, what is available, and the gap identification also it doesn't need to. You don't have to scratch your brain to see where shall I search for these papers. That is the power of AI today. Anything and everything is possible. So what is it we are going to do? There was a fear factor in the chair's mind today when he was talking to the chief guest. So this is the fear, sir. There's no point of losing jobs. There were 4-5 decades back, we did not have computers. when we did not have computers, and when computers came into existence, and when we came into the third generation of computers or fourth generation of computers, there was fear factor in everybody's mind. Do we lose job because computer has overruled the manual job? That did not happen. We have got so much of job. Today with the advent of AI, does it mean to say we are going to lose job? We are not going to lose job. The type of job that we play as a role will get changed. We will not do mechanically or we will not do analytically. We may have to go with rationally. Prompt engineer plays a very important skill. Maybe if there is prompt engineering that can also be touched here, because the right type of prompt only will give you the right information, the correct information, otherwise it leads to falsifications. So we need to be very careful when we are giving the prompts, because the RAG model or the hierarchies will just take what we have given. So this knowledge is really important for all faculty members. I know many of you will be in upgrading yourself, all of you might be doing, but there are some people who will not have all experience of how to give the right prompts. Otherwise, you will be able to work with all technologies. Your AI will help you with power, modern power, energy systems. You will do all that. Your teaching, you will do. Why am I touching all this is when AI can do wonders, all the time that you were spending should now be used for more productivity. Your constructive time should yield towards productive gain. We do not have to now spend time on learning curves. In fact, we have to make use of creative skills. That's what he was mentioning. I know you will also touch those 5 points which he just pointed out to me. If I can remember, I would like to just put down those 5 points. The point number 1, he wants to expect from the students as an industry person that you have to bring skilling with the students is with respect to the problem solving. Point number 2, creative thinking. Point number 3, communication skills. Point number 4, in the cohesiveness among the team members, teamwork spirit, and finally, problem to be learned, adaptability, continuous learning. It's lifelong learning is removed from keywords, but he says continuous learning. Reason, every time the market is dynamic, technologies keep changing, they have to be versatile, they cannot be solo addicted with a particular technology. These are your 5 skills that you wanted to touch upon. You will explain all that again. Sorry for grabbing those points of yours.
It is actually wonderful because the more we keep talking about it, it sticks to the mind.
Yes.
So I don't, there's nothing so.
Yeah, because I wanted to know whether I was a good listener.
Very good, very good.
Thank you so much, sir. So this is what, I was just hearing, he was sharing with him and I was just listening. These 5 skills now is engraved in my memory. This is what you need to do when these speakers are delivering certain words. Please make a note. I can see many of you do carry materials here to write notes. Please make a note of it. Our brain is volatile, 100% volatile. It goes up. All pressure of work and so many things, publications, research, patents, and so many other factors which will be modulating our thought process. So please make a note of every point, and whatever note you make, if you can make all of them, provide a reflection report, individual team, individual faculty or team group wise, because he wants to, he expects industry, expects not just interdisciplinary but also intercohesiveness. Cohesiveness is very important, collaboration is very important. That's what Agile all talks about. We will not be able to work without this communication skills or without the binding that we have among our peer fraternity. So please, you can make group of yourself, you can put a paper on these works, what you have learned so far. You can give a literature survey paper, you can give a critical analysis paper. In fact, PhD is also, if there is critical analysis, critics, and very severe critics on the works, PhD will be obtained. That is the stamina of thinking so much, analyzing, applying, and evolving at some other new concept. So with this note, all that I would like to tell you once again is, please don't sit for the sake of listening. Please make a note of everything. For all those 5 days, 6 days, whatever number of days you sit, for the hours that you sit, make it constructive. Let it not be conventional FDP. Let it be a creative FDP. But brain get over to various dimensions. And this opening up should a path to our students so that they carry on with those problems that you identified, the topics you hit upon, because topics what you hit should be hitting the nail of the industry, the problems of the industry. That is how you have to keep yourself mapping to every concept that is being delivered here. And please learn prompt engineering. That's where we can avoid falsifications. So with that note, I wish you all the best, and thanks to the entire department, and thanks to you for a very good education song and very good master of ceremony, as well as some student who is taking the photograph. And all the teaching, non-teaching who has supported here. Thanks to everybody. God bless you all, and have a nice Gauri Ganesha festival. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. You don't fail to motivate us every time you speak. We have with us Mr. Karthik Krishnamurthy as our chief guest for the day. Sir is the founder and CEO of ML AI Labs and currently serves as the Director of Outreach and Engagement at Asia University, Bengaluru. With an illustrious career at Amazon, he brings expertise in AI, leadership, and innovation. His mission is to positively impact lives of his initiatives. We are delighted to welcome a guest. I request you to kindly address.
I think I understand. Yeah, this is like it's not. That's more than anything. So, firstly, thank you very much. I see smiles, so I say happy morning to everyone. All right. So, can you respond with happy morning? Wonderful. Yeah. So, I now have your attention, right? And I think English as a language is comfortable for all, but I keep switching between my languages a little bit to make it a little more comfortable and casual. I teaching, like academics have been pretty new to me. Right? So I come from a corporate world where a lot of things runs with a high pace and try to keep it more casual rather than formal. Right? With that, the faculty development program, when I was told, I take it very seriously in my life. So serious that I every day 2 hours of my day. It is beyond helps me what I do. Okay? Again, it's beyond what I do is what helps me what I do. Right? And every day, these 2 hours, I can skip maybe brushing my teeth or even eating my food, but I will not skip these 2 hours that I dedicate myself. Right? So every year I go on a mission for myself to develop. Right? This is through reading, through implementation, through learning, and it can be anything. Right? It can be from an instrument to a subject to doing something creative, but everything that we do develops ourselves. We all talk about AI and ML, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning. I'll talk to you a little more about it, but the fundamental thing is it's all sparking. And our human life is such, you will agree, if you don't use it, you will lose it. It's a fundamental basis of our life, right? If you don't use it, you will lose it. So that is why development becomes an integral part of your DNA. Alright? I don't know, all of you may have children, all of you may have parents, right? And it's a full circle, right? You keep telling your children to do what you want them to do so that they can become better than you. Alright? And your parents do the same thing. But I always ask this question, what are you doing to make yourself better? Right? And it's a vicious circle. That's a basic circle of life, right? In terms of how. So, like myself, and what Fredisa is doing in terms of getting all of you together. Learning will be fun. It cannot be pushed on you. Like how your students don't have a choice. They're paid, right? So they have come here. But for you to make sure that you excel in what you're doing, there's this continuous learning. I think the first step for me to introduce these subjects to you already may be aware or maybe even expert more than me. All right. So together we will make sure that we are able to deliver or make each other better. I think that's the entire goal of this development program. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your energy is so exuberant that it has set a perfect tone for this morning. We always hear AI can replace humans, but don't worry, dear faculty, it is not going to replace teachers. No way that it can replace your expertise and experience. On this note, I would like to invite Dr. G. Manikanta, FTP Coordinator and Assistant Professor, Dayananda SAGAR College of Engineering, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected Chief Guest, esteemed faculty members, and dear students, good morning, one and all. It is my pleasure, privilege, and honor to deliver vote of thanks on this memorable occasion of our faculty development program on application of AI techniques in modern power and energy systems. First and foremost, on behalf of Department of EEE and DAYANANDA SAGAR College of Engineering, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Chief Guest, Mr. Kartik Krishnamurthy, Founder and CEO at MLA AI Labs, Director, Outreach and Brand Engagement at RIA University. Thank you, sir, who spared their valuable time to guide us with their profound knowledge, insight, and expertise. Your enlightening session have truly enriched us and opened new avenues for teaching, learning, and research. I would like to sincerely thank our management, Sri Galiswami, Dr. P.G. Prasad, and Vice Principals for their unwavering support and encouragement, who has always been the driving force behind such initiatives. I extend my sincere gratitude to our respected head of the department, Dr. Prem Kumar M, for constant encouragement and support. Your vision, guidance, and motivation has been instrumental in organizing this faculty development program. My special thanks to coordinators and co-coordinators of the faculty development program who dedicated planning and tireless effort has made this program a grand success. I also extend my gratitude to all faculty participants actively participate and made the program truly interactive and fruitful. A word of appreciation goes to organizing committee and supporting staff for their effort in arranging and ensure the smooth conduct of the. Once again, I express sincere thanks to everyone present here. With your support and active participation, this faculty development has been a big success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would request everybody to kindly rise for the national anthem.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
I will get your number. I'll take his number. Even I don't take that. Like more of sustainability. Right? So make sure that I get your number.
Thank you so much.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
And what do you do with it?
Just make that.
Can you just set this up? We have any No, I know, but I'm just saying, also, they ever take out. That's a Dell one. Yeah, that's, you have to just check.
I'll just keep.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yes.
So here we have the campus-wide instances. We ask the faculty also use. They can use it. Only curious.
So the charger, if you have your own charger, I have my own charger. The charger is a new one. Okay. Honestly, I don't understand it too much, but you are the expert, so I will leave it to you. Yes, yes.
With this, we can switch this. We put the features. No, this issue. One switch for the background is black.
Yes, sir. Background is black.
That's why maybe it's not. Maybe.
Visuals. Otherwise,
And again, if you want that,
need that one.
What is just taking exactly what?
yes, yeah.
Now,
Not.
how do I know?
Remember this?
See, most of the stage. During the session itself, you know, might be getting Present.
Post a message in 2 minutes session.
Things have to change, things have to be, ensure empathy is, but otherwise you will not retain the right people.
That's how, if you look at the computer science clusters, so we really need to find people. And those who join, those will be, so again, one thing is salary matters, but the other thing, as you said, to retain the people, we need to do something. Otherwise,
Yeah, see, one I've seen education institutions obviously have
ask them to.
what I am seeing is that, like in the corporate world, a lot of people want it. They get an opportunity to teach. Right? So somehow the education sector needs to continue. Go ahead and talk to them because one of the things in the corporate world, government education institutions know this. I don't think many of them know. There is a big need of visibility of you doing something beyond your work. right? So they really want this. They're actually good scientists, senior data scientists, and senior people want to also go and teach as part of their job, right? And it becomes a part of their KPI.
Yeah.
They measure it.
Oh,
How
right,
much
right,
impact
right.
have you made beyond your professional work?
Yeah.
Those things, and usually was there only abroad earlier. Now it is.
So that's all now recently it's on history professors. Everyone picked up on similarly the computer science cluster. So mostly the software people they are coming in with their big language communities. So that's why I think it's going well. Even I wanted one professor of practice. Those who can motivate the students, motivate the faculty members, so to connect with the industry, that kind of person. I'm just looking for a long time. I'm not able to find that person. Well, initially we had one person, so we just leave recently. So I just wanted the same kind of person. So those who retired or those who have taken over retirement, so if they come and join us, maybe it would be very good for us to, you can easily connect with the business.
No, but you need industry practitioners.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. You're the right path. You need industry practitioners because the gap between what is there in the industry and what is being taught, if that gets aligned, then we have the best engineers. Just to give you a basic data, last year, 15 lakh engineers transferred in India. 15 lakh. This is not your BCS and CS, proper engineering. Only for them employed. 60% is not yet employed. Out of that 40%, only 2% relevant engineering. So that is the kind of numbers that we see. You don't need to take any notes. We'll try and make it as interactive as possible. And we'll also do this. I'll be distributing the same presentation. And I'll also tell you how to consolidate your reports in no time. All of you may know, but so you can start?
Yes.
Okay. All right. A very good morning. A happy morning to everyone. Good. So So my name is Karthik, right? And can I have a quick name introduction?
My name is Dr. Sridevi.
Please.
Yeah.
Sridevi.
Yeah. Myself, Kavita.
Kavita.
I'm Dikshita.
Sridevi Kavita Dikshit.
Rachna.
Dr. Balamurugan.
Balamurugan.
Balamurugan. Balamurugan.
Balamurugan.
Dr. Suganti. Suganti.
Sudan.
Savita.
Memory contact. Suman. Sumana.
Dr. Saram.
Saravana.
Dr. Murali.
Murali.
Dr. Supriya.
Supriya.
Dr. Anubhav.
Anup.
Dr. Usha.
Sonu. Right.
Dr. Shweta.
Shweta. Wonderful. Now, let's see if I can remember the name. Right? Not like in order, but while we are interacting. Right? Okay, good. So, firstly, what are we here for? I'm actually glad that my presentation is more of a discussion is around the entire aspects of artificial intelligence, electrical engineering, and power systems. Okay, you are all doctors in it. Okay, so you know much more than me. Right? I was trying to build outcome, how I can include AI and ML, and what are the use cases. Right? There are two things that can happen in this presentation at the end of this presentation. One, you can say, hey, you know what, we know everything, this guy just came and wasted our time. Right? Or the second thing is, okay, there is something that I learned out of this. So there are two outcomes that can happen, right? And that is the thing. So we will try and keep it engaging, and I want participation. So I'm going to be asking you, right, what kind of examples and questions, and we will keep it high level. Right? I was talking to Ma'am Savita ma'am as well. To what level can we go into? Are we developing code? Are we using tools to write all of these things? Are we using prompts, etc.? We can take a look at all of that. Right? So the main thing is from teaching the real world applications. Okay, from teaching to real world applications. How do we go ahead and implement this? Right? So this is going to be 2 hours. I will try and wrap it in 2 hours. Right now we are at 11:20. Alright, and we will have a wrap in 2 hours. Okay. Now, what is AI and ML? Very simple question. What is AI and what is ML? Anybody? Thank you for the cookies. What is your name? Alright, what is AI and what is ML?
Artificial intelligence.
Wonderful. What is artificial intelligence?
Machine behave like humans.
Making machine behaving like humans. What is ML? Machine learning. What is machine learning?
It will create algorithms. It's a subset of AI.
Very good. Alright. Now, there's something called DL.
Deep learning.
Alright. You guys are experts. But tell me one thing.
It will mimic human.
Tell me one. AI, machine learning. Sorry, AI machines mimicking human intelligence. Everywhere around this world, we are saying AI. How much of it is AI? How much of it is ML? 95, more than 95 to 98% is all ML. But we like to put marketing is all AI. Decision making is not happening. Prediction is happening. Data is being gathered. So when somebody says, what is your name, sir? Satish, hi sir. Yeah. So when somebody says AI, right, or AI everything is done by AI. Actually not, right? It is only helping. For example, ChatGPT, not an AI, it's actually a machine learning model. It's a large language model, which is learning from billions of tokens and then, predicting what is the next coming, right? And then also having things. Now, let's move quickly into AI techniques, right, relevant to electrical engineering. Now, imagine we want to focus tomorrow's load, right? We will train an artificial neural networks, right, on past load and weather data to predict tomorrow's demand. So, is this becomes an ML or becomes AI? Right? But the point is, for all marketing purposes, AI techniques relevant to EV, right? Correct? So let's understand this when we are telling our students, imparting our students, that is very important for them to understand. Because the first thing everybody says is everything is AI driven, right? But how do you first build your knowledge base? Then comes the marketing aspects of it, right? One of the things that we also talk about is, the entire AI. Within AI, there are different concepts. Right? Now, one of the examples is load forecasting and fault detection. Thank you very much, Ramana. Alright? So, load forecasting and fault detection is something that one can go ahead and train. Right? Then comes reinforcement learning. We will go more in depth with reinforcement learning, but conceptually, do you know what reinforcement learning is? Kind of adaptive, okay. So, our favorite reinforcement learning are our children, no?
Supervised, unsupervised learning. Two types are there, supervised and
That comes later. Right? That is a fundamental thing of machine learning. Supervised, unsupervised are fundamental concepts of machine learning. But what is reinforcement learning? Right? Now my question is, how do you now reward machines? How do you reward them? Like children, at least you do something good, you can give them a chocolate, they feel very good. How do you reward machines?
Making policy.
Right?
Making a policy.
One is a policy, yeah, it's much easier, no? You can say good versus bad. It's good enough, right? You do a mistake, let's say there is a negative, and then you give a -1, and then if it is a positive, you give +1, the machine feels rewarded, right? It's much easier then, right? But that is required to a large extent, right? So, for example, optimal power flow and grid control, alright, is all about your reinforcement learning. Now, with more, for example, more complex situations, your grids, your power control is not just coming from one source, multiple sources. Now, how do you implement that? Okay. So, reinforcement learning makes a lot of difference there in terms of how you impact. How do you make grids efficient? Right? And then comes supervised and unsupervised learning. Correct? Now, if we talk about supervised learning, alright, what can we say? Basically, it's labeled data. So your fault detection comes under labeled data. But when you say unsupervised, can you give me an example of unsupervised learning in electrical engineering? One of the biggest announcements a year back when Siddaramaiah took over of our scheme, Grajoti, that was based on unsupervised learning data. You know how? Cluster analysis. So they found out which are the households that have below 200 consumption of 200 units. How did they find that? They identified clusters. They had slabs because electricity bills usually have slabs, and you have seen all of it. So it's a very easy analysis to do that. But in real life, that is what was implemented. Statistically, AI and ML has been implemented for the last 50 years or more. Right? But now tools and computation has become so better that you're able to have that all implemented. Right? And this is what in real life, how you can go about implementing this entire. So energy consumption patterns, anomaly detection, all of these aspects as part of the supervised and unsupervised learning. Alright? Now, to make it more easier, right? We cannot escape from machine learning concepts when we talk about artificial intelligence because that's a fundamental part of it. Okay. So here I put a basic mapping of AI and your electrical engineering concept. Once that is already there, and you may already know. So if you know, tell me skip and I will skip. Okay? So, for example, load forecasting is all about time series. How many of you understand time series? How many of you understand time series? What is this? Do I need a mouse for this? How many of you understand time series?
So you want the date point is the
No, I needed to move this my notes. So I take it. So, I'll have a wired mouse. If you have one, it will be nice. Yeah. So how many of us know about time series? What is a time series prediction? Anybody? Hey, please. There has to be interactive. Nothing is wrong or right. Please understand. I am not here to judge you. Neither your colleagues here to judge you. Okay, because these are things that the more interactive it is, otherwise you will fall off to sleep. Right? So what are your choices? If you can sleep, then we can switch off the lights and we can all sleep. Right? Nothing is wrong with it. Come on. That's it. Logically. Yeah.
Forecasting is basic.
Forecasting is an output. Okay, but what is time series forecasting? What is the
cost data? Their cost data for respective the time. It's respective to time. So based on that we can do the prediction.
Correct. Alright, that is a very high level understanding based on time series is specific to time. Right? Why is it specific to time? If I give you some example, I'll ask you why is it specific to time? I'll tell you best time series forecasting, right? Or forecasting techniques in your real life it happens. Okay? And it's at home. You know exactly what time the children will get up, what will they do at what time. You know, your mind is already doing a time series forecasting, pattern recognition. Right? And how do we now go ahead and make that little this thing? So first is pattern. Right? It looks as different patterns each time, each second. For example, if I go to stock markets, you talk about every second the data changes. Right? Now, similarly, if I take different industries, right? Let's talk about electricity, right? What is the pattern? What is the way? What is the amount of electricity usage that's happening, right?
Load curve.
Yes, load curve. Exactly, right? Then comes trend. Alright? An upward or a downward trend over a long period. Okay? Sometimes the consumption is much higher, sometimes it's lower. The reasons why it happens, what kind of fluctuations happen, based on that also comes under a pattern and that also has a trend. Okay? And then comes seasonality. Usage of electricity increases during summer season. Okay? So these kind of patterns during winters again we cannot say just summer. Like for example, you go up north, winters you have a high usage of electricity because heaters are on. Right? How do you do that in terms of and the point is what I'm trying to say is that these are very much concepts that you use on a daily basis. It is not something we have to put in mathematics. Right? The model is doing that. Right? And then comes the next is your cyclicality. They are not regular, but they still repeat over a period of time. Okay? And then you have another pattern which is called randomness or the noise, which is very erratic. Now these are the four core concepts for your time series prediction. That is why that model is different from a classification model or a reinforcement model or a clustering model. Okay, and the use cases there is load forecasting. Now if you take load forecasting and you rightly mentioned the load curve, how do you fit all of these four concepts into your identifying the load forecasting? It becomes easier when you are able to, practically be able to do that. And that is how you look at data. You will never find a data set that will give you only these parameters. It will give you your data set that you download for identifying a load forecasting. It will be like, like hundreds of columns of data. How do you now go about looking at labeled data that we will need? And that is how you actually go about doing feature engineering when you build a model. So in data sciences, there is one saying, 80% of the work is all about extracting, manipulation, transformation, loading, and 20% of work, or less than 10, like 10% of work is model building, and 10% of work is your testing and results. So the first 80% has a lot of heavyweight lifting, and if you don't understand what you are trying to do, then it becomes difficult to do feature engineering there. Okay. Now a little bit about reinforcement learning, right? So in a reinforcement learning, for example, in a grid, right? The central control system that manages the grid, that becomes the agent. Then you have the environment. The entire power grid includes all its energy sources and consumers. Based on the current electricity demand, the amount of power being generated by each source, how much sun is shining, etc. But reinforcement learning, for any of these, what is most important? How do you get all of this data? Without sensors, you cannot really get any of this data that you need. Right? So therefore it is very important for us to understand that entire aspects of electronics also that plays into your entire electrical setup. Okay? So it is important that we understand a little bit of the machine learning factors and the model factors that we will need for us to impart it to our students. Okay? Now let me get into a little more interesting, right? How can we use AI for teaching? And you guys must be already using this. Okay? So the first one is about the AI tutors. Okay. How many of us use ChatGPT on a daily basis? All of us use ChatGPT on a daily basis. Why do we use it? For what do we? Let's understand. I was just telling you.
I just use it for coding.
You use it for coding purpose. Anybody else? You use it for email writing? Getting better email? When you're upset and you write, okay, I want this, but I want it to be very modest and humble. No, I'm talking about practical experiences. You want to influence somebody, you want to really do that, then you use it. But is that the only reason that we should use ChatGPT? Because ChatGPT or LLMs, I shouldn't say ChatGPT, I'm not promoting OpenAI, but I'm saying LLMs as such, right? Why should we use them? What is the reason we should use LLM? Like for example, as tutors today, teaching, right? There's so much of information that is all around the place. Okay? And even LLMs give you wrong information. Right? But how can we go ahead and use it in such a way that the students get benefit? Right? So, how much of it is improving your productivity? I think those are the aspects that we need to look at beyond what we use it for a regular basis. Do you know how to create your own twin on GPTs? It's a very easy thing today to go ahead and create your own digital twin. You as a professor can be available 24/7, 365 days. Even when you're sleeping, there is your digital twin that actually works on your behalf. With your own, with the same tone of your response, the way you will respond, with the same grammatics that you will respond. Right? All these are available for you today free of cost. Right? Not really literally free, but like you pay for a little bit and then you will be able to do that. Okay. Within your OpenAI GPT itself, you have, when you go to explore GPTs, right? You can go ahead and click on create and you can upload all your chats. It will train itself to be you, right? And then it will be able to respond, right? So tutoring becomes easy. It makes it more efficient for you, right? Then comes your entire aspect of simulations, right? So I'm sure you guys are all using your MATLAB for simulations, right? Transformer simulations. Without blowing up actual transformer, they can simulate it. They can do all of that, right? I hope you're using all of those kind of tools. But you also know that MATLAB has got prompts, right, with which you can develop code and stuff like that, right? So, good. And then you have your entire aspects of adaptive quizzes. Based on your curriculum that you are building, if you want to take quizzes, you must be using it for that as well, right? GPTs, LLMs you use for quizzes. For example, I can show you it's a very simple prompt that you can write, right? And develop quizzes for your classes, right? Sorry? Notebook LLM is just one, but then you have many, like all LLMs would do that, right? But there are many coming that are, sorry?
This is it also.
Okay, one more, right? Deep research is there from your, Gemini. Right? Claude Anthropic is very good for coding actually, better than GPT. In your way of ChatGPT, right? The errors are much lesser, get better debugging. So tell me one thing here, okay? How in your current practice, is your environment in such a way that you are allowed to use these tools, or it is a very secured environment where you are not allowed to use these tools? How does that work for you? When I say allowed to use this tool, do you have access to these tools? No. And why don't you have access? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here, but why don't you have access?
No, sir. So as of now, we have not put forth in front of the management. Now we have to discuss in the meeting. We propose.
Okay, but I will have access to it. Yeah, so the entire aspect is this, right? Because you have to build. Because the more you build, you can tell others to build, right? You can teach others to build, right? And only then you will be able to go ahead with things. And that's why I'm like, now the next is, how do you now use MATLAB and all of that? That becomes a thing. So basically for all your lectures, your slides, your diagrams, your summaries, okay? You can use that. You would be reading a lot of IEEE papers and imparting that kind of knowledge. You use GPTs to summarize, LLMs to summarize. You must be doing that because this entire presentation actually is generated using AI tools. Every subject, every notes, what I'm talking right now, every word to a large extent is consumed. My entire understanding, my learning comes from there. I am not an expert in power, I am not an expert in grids, I am not an expert in electrical engineering, I am not an expert in power systems. But all of this, what I am talking is in the last, I think, 5 days is what I have prepared, right, to understand all of this. Right? So, this is the power of your productivity, right? Your question banks, your plagiarism checks. All of this can be utilized if you have access to these tools. And these tools, again, not like it's a public domain tool that you need to use. They focus primarily in a guarded environment. Like for example, your research papers, your topics, etc., it should not go outside of your domain. That is possible, right? For example, while I was working with Amazon, all the data is so critical that it cannot go out of the Amazon domain. So our system is built in such a way that everything that we used, all the data that we trained our LLMs with, all the data that we trained our machine learning models, everything was internal. It's not available in the public domain. Like for example, I built the entire fraud prevention system, seller space, right? So how do you now understand what are the various fraud that is going on? It's all about finding intent and all of those aspects. So that is one of the things that one can use. Right? So let's one of the things. So as we've been talking about it, would you like to use this kind of a quick prompt, and let's go ahead and see what is the output of this. Alright. Now, so we spoke about prompt engineering and stuff like that. How comfortable are you all with prompt writing? Okay, so let me give you a basic framework of the prompt. Alright. When I use any LLM, okay, the first thing I do is I treat it just like a human being. Okay. My first prompt every day for my LLM is, "Hi, how are you doing today? I hope things are good at your end." Right? And then the response comes, right? And then you actually go ahead and assign it a role. Okay? For example, in your role, you are a tutor, you are a professor, right? Or you're a doctorate, right? Therefore, that increases the level of their understanding in terms of you're giving it the same respect. So assign a role as a doctorate in this particular subject. All right. Please, go ahead and give me an output of what you want, okay? And also output of what you don't want. Okay? There has to be always a limitation that you need to set to get the right response and the format that you want. You want a PDF format, you want a document format, right? And stuff like that. So let me do this. So let me go ahead and open up. I have to now just do an extension, right? Yeah. No, I just want to. So, as an expert in okay, so do you use these similar prompts like this? Have you used it for your regular things? So this is very easy, right? For you all. So let me know. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. If you know this, you already do this for this. Okay. So let me go back to my presentation. You also do this summarize your papers. You also do that. So let me go back and talk about the application of application in our systems. Right. Any examples? Okay. So load forecasting helps utilities schedule generation. Right. Next.
Then method management.
supply management, right? What goes into forecasting? So let's talk a little bit of what all goes into load forecast. Okay, what kind of data? Huh? What kind of data? Come on, I think this is more conversation. These are all basics of data.
Production and consumption.
Production and consumption, generation, weather, right? Voltage, current, okay, right? But do we really need voltage, current? For load forecasting, do we need voltage and current? We don't actually need that, right? We need consumption of power, right? What is the consumption? What is the power? What is the weather? Right? And all of these things, right? Is more on the load forecasting, usage patterns, weather forecasts. Now, when you want to predict, what else do you need? Holidays, right? Apart from your technical data, you will need all the other peripheral data that will impact your use of power, right? That is what when I was saying, as an ML model, when you're building a model, when you're doing feature engineering, very, very important for us to understand what it is. We have to get out of the technicality to really understand the consumer behavior for us to develop those models. I think that's a basic shift when it comes to the applications, right? And that is what happens, the domain that you come with all of those information. And that is what we need to impart when we talk about, the same to our students as well, right? Fault detection, right? Now, what are the IS answers? What are the faults that come on? Sorry, ma'am? Okay, wonderful. Right, line to line, line to ground. So what is renewable integration? Basically when I talk about integration, it means coming from different sources. You will have solar, you will have wind, you will have, let's say, any other source, all right, coal, which is your fossil fuel. Everything is coming together, and then you integrate, right? Now, what happens? What are the challenges of integration?
Penetration of renewable sources into the main grid will be the main issue.
Correct. Synchronizing, yeah.
The inertia will get disturbed when these renewables will.
Exactly.
Voltage and frequency levels.
Wonderful. How do you now measure all of this? Sensors, right? And that is the thing of how do you implement this? While you have the sensors, you will develop rule-based algorithms that will trigger certain decisions and actions. And here it becomes an AI feature. Because based on that, you will now make decisions for efficiency of energy, right? Flows, etc. Right? Because a grid system from different sources is more complex than a single source based one. Right? Then comes your smart grids in terms of dynamic pricing and demand responses. Right? Now this is a hot topic everywhere, no? Predictive maintenance. Right? Predictive maintenance is a big aspect of digital twin. How many of you have implemented digital twin solutions? I know you're all faculty, but you have implemented, right? It's a very complex system. Everybody thinks it is very easy, but it's a very complex system to go ahead and implement because predictive maintenance is all about trying to find out before it goes wrong. Okay? And that is a tough process to happen because you need to have past data fed in such a way, because it's all about root cause analysis. If you have gone ahead and not really identified the problem and then you look for predictive analysis, it can give all sorts of wrong predictions. Because data again is generated by us. Data again is fed by us. Models are built by us. Right? The machine is just doing what you were telling it to do. Okay. And then finally comes your optimal power flow. Right? I'm just looking at use cases that AI, ML, and DL in which are the applications for power systems. Okay. So, just to keep it interesting, I want to talk about a little bit of use cases that are real life cases. Okay. Do you know about Google DeepMind? Right? Now that's a Google's AI hub, right? Yeah, DeepMind is Google's AI hub. Okay. Now the output of 40% cooling energy savings by training AI to predict cooling loads. This was achieved. You know how it was achieved? Basically, when this first started off, everything was manual. Right? Every time, okay. How many of you understand power of computing requires so much energy that it is unimaginable. Like for example, today you just get you load in your regular computers, you load an Excel sheet with more than like 7 to 10 lakh of rows and some 100 columns. The system needs a lot of processing speed, right? Your phones that you use to talk, to message, sometimes it all becomes a little, you have to clean up your phone and all of it. So imagine the power of computing. The entire LLMs, the AI and ML world, the way it actually happens. All those servers, all the GPUs, CPUs, everything is getting powered up, right? So there is a lot of infrastructure required to cool it down, to keep it in its optimum. So Google started to ensure that they are using their own AI models to go ahead and train these systems, so that they can go ahead and make the infrastructure more efficient. They save billions of dollars just by doing that. Okay. The next case study that we can talk about is India Smart Grid. How many of you heard of India Smart Grid, ISG? Have you heard about this? So basically the government is doing a lot of work. They're promoting smart cities. Why they are promoting everything smart? Primarily because the smart grids that we have or we are developing today, okay, can have a very efficient, smooth workflow flow of energy, and it can be monitored and made seamless for the entire network. Okay. So here also it was managing electric consumption during peak during summers. So this cluster was a very small cluster where they actually ran this study. So what they did was they were like in houses during summertime. You also have ACs running, right, in one room, and in some other room the kids have switched on the fan and all of that, right? And in another place, the system is there without being used. Right? Now this increases your entire power consumption. Right? So how do you go ahead and alienate? Why is that fan off? If I have a smart system, I can identify, alright, what are the various things running simultaneously, and the load is going up, and hence now with my smart technologies I can go ahead and shut those down and use only which is actually consumes power, and also distribute the that is another use case that was part of the India. Market is actually in India. Yes, in some pockets. Some pockets we already implemented that. Right, so I'll give you some detail because this was done in state details, but this was done some clusters. That is how we able to do that. The government also doing a lot of subsidies on many things that they give subsidies. Then comes the winners, right? So one of the biggest right entire infrastructure. So, okay. How do we find out to go towards a consumption or towards a grid? Right? Consumption which will send it to is what is the entire setup, how do you build all of these things, right? Now, a lot of this infrastructure requires, as we spoke about, predictive maintenance, right? How do you know that the motors and everything is working properly? So in every part you need to have sensors. So we have two types of sensors, we know that, right? One is a virtual sensor and one is a physical sensor, right? So those were implemented on wind farms to identify whether or not they need to get serviced before time. Those were implemented to understand whether or not the consumption of power has to be done by industries or whether that will be moved to the grid. Right? That is the kind of applications that the industry is currently already using. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about the research opportunities. Right? Earlier in my in my life earlier, I used to watch these movies, right, where the entire power system of the city goes for a toss, and there's a cyber attack and all of these things, right? When I was much younger, it was like, wow, okay, I don't know, it could happen, but the reality it is happening, all right? So one of the things is your entire AI and cyber security, right? How do you now go ahead and prevent this? While AI is doing everything, right? You need to ensure that a successful hack could be could shut down. So, is AI the key for fighting this? Actually, yes. So, while people use AI to go ahead and attack you, we should use AI to go ahead and prevent it, right? Anomaly, basic things like anomaly detection, right? A lot of things coming into how do we trigger, what do we trigger? So a lot of this is used in fraud prevention. Okay, I'll give you a small thing. Like I used to work in the e-commerce industry where I had to find out the intent of a person before that person registers with the Amazon portal. How do I find out somebody's intent? Right? So I have to, he's not physical, he's sitting somewhere, there are millions of hits that are coming in. How do I find people's intent before they even create an account? Once they create an account, they want to sell duplicate goods, they want to do other things, it's a different story. But the biggest challenge is how do you find an intent? So you always leave traces, no? For example, when somebody is filling a form, are they copying and pasting from an Excel sheet? Is it coming from the same IP? Is it coming from the same vicinity? Right? How many times the mouse is moving? How long do people take to finish one page? Right? Are they having how many clicks? How many times they're hitting a backspace to fill a name or to fill something? right? These are all behavioral patterns, and that is where machine learning comes. Right? Hacking is also a very similar pattern. You're trying, how many times are you attempting? You want to break in. How many times? It requires not patience, it just requires algorithms that need to run that can detect. Now that is where gathering comes to play. Right? So when you talk about security, when you talk about cyber security, when you talk about all of these systems, the guy whose intent is to harm, alright, will always be there. Right? And he will try and do 10 steps ahead of you. But it's all about you recognizing the patterns and how do you go about this thing. So AI does definitely help you. Okay. Second is IoT for microgrids. Now I spoke a little bit about your entire, okay, like for example, you may have your own microgrid here, right? DAYANANDA University as a college, you have your own setup here. You will have your own microgrid, right? Ideally, you should have, but we don't have it at this point in time. But ideally, if you have microgrids, right, and you have your own sensors, both virtual as well as physical, right? So it will be much easier for you to be able to make decisions on your power consumption. Right? You will know where what is getting used, how much of it is getting used, and therefore you will have a much more efficient unit of work. And trust me, all of this is possible. You are, as an institution, you are students, right? All of this can be implemented into small projects. You don't have to take the entire thing, but small projects can really help, right? We need sensors. You don't need to actually build it and scale from outside. You can still build it inside and do those kind of things. But it requires a lot of resources. I understand that. Right? Then comes your energy trading. Are you aware of energy trading? Okay. Just like stock trading, energy is traded. How do you think governments buy electricity from private players? Right? For example, petrol prices go up and down. Why do they go up and down? Demand, supply, as well as from where the resource availability is. Similarly comes energy. Everybody is aware of this Ukraine war, right? And how Europe and India, right? Very recently, Trump said, India is buying oil from Russia, right? The entire Europe is getting gas from Russia, right? All of these things. So it's all energy. At the end of it, it is all energy. Electricity, from gas comes your electricity. From coal comes your electricity. Fossil fuels are used today for electricity. All of it is interlinked. Now, therefore, there are pricing factors that vary. When we buy in the markets, in financial markets, when you buy, you have something called hedging. You always look at what are the fluctuations and you plug a price. Similarly for energy trade. Alright, it is quite dynamic. Price forecast. Price forecast. How do you now forecast those prices? Based on your demands. How do you now forecast which region? How much? Even how do consumer prices, like in India, we also have private players. And you have government, like you have the entire KEB in Karnataka, right? Now, apart from KEB, there are other players also who will distribute electricity, right? Like Reliance does in Maharashtra, right? Adani does in other parts of India. Even when I go to pay my electricity bill, I have many boards within Karnataka as well who distribute energy. So, pricing that they buy energy, right? Apart from producing, they buy energy and they actually sell. Then comes your AI for climate resilience. Designing grids under extreme weather conditions. Right? Like, do you know that solar panels, government gives subsidies on solar panels, you know that. 75% subsidies. Right? Now, if there is a wind that comes and the solar panel gets damaged, does the government give you any insurance on it. So it is up to the manufacturer who builds these, right? So how do you now do that? Which are the places? What kind of panels to be used? What kind of setup to be done? What kind of weather patterns happen based on the geographic location? Right? What kind of nuts, bolts, everything to be used? Ultimately, if you come to the nitty-gritties, it has to go to the OEMs who are actually original equipment manufacturers, because many of them are only assembly. Right? Now, how do you do all of these things? Right? So these are some of your further research opportunities in terms of how it is. Right? Now, moving on to quickly on tools and faculty. So we spoke about ChatGPT and Copilot. Right? Now Copilot is again the LLM from Microsoft. Okay. ChatGPT is the OpenAI product. Right? So you can use that for your curriculum, your teaching. All right. You can use all of those. Okay. Everybody told me that you're already using those, so I didn't want to demo it. But if you need anything, any help from that, please let me know and I'll get that for you. MATLAB AI Toolbox. You use MATLAB AI Toolbox, right? So you already use that. So how many of you are very comfortable with MATLAB AI Toolbox? Everyone. Huh? Okay. The reason is, if you haven't, there are enough and more videos that will help you. Alright, short videos, 8-minute videos, 10-minute videos. Alright, you can go ahead and do that. Right. A lot of code generation happens with MATLAB AI Toolbox. So I'm not going to go ahead and give you a demo. The next slide is on the demo. Right? So everybody clear on this now. I can skip this. Alright, so that is where my presentation ends, because that demo was the last one. Alright, so primarily key takeaways. Alright, your AI and ML can enhance education through personalized tutoring and simulations. Okay, the next one is your productivity in terms of what you could use it for. The third one is about your industry integration for forecasting and optimization, and finally comes your future success, right? Plus your deep domain knowledge that you have and how you can integrate AI. Right? Now, so this is what I actually tell everyone, and I think it's well known. AI will not replace you, but those who use AI will replace those who don't. Okay? So it is very essential that if you are not using these tools on a daily basis, I urge you, I request you. It is like riding a cycle. Initially, when you rode a cycle, you fell a little bit, got hurt. But today it has become as soon as you ride a cycle, you ride a two-wheeler, you ride a bike, you ride everything now. Anything with two wheels doesn't scare you. But yeah, right? So that's a learning process, right? Everywhere. So it's very important that we go ahead and jump into it and make those mistakes, right? And ensure that we are able to be agile and learn faster. Okay. So, as I said, we are going to have these, it's like a ready reckoner. I'll share these slides with you. It's high level, alright? And finally, thank you very much for your patience. And just a quick thing, right? Each one of you, what kind of use case will you try in teaching or research? Each one of you just give me one use case.
Understanding different mathematical concepts.
Understanding different mathematical concepts. AI tools. Okay. Which tool will you go for?
Usually I prefer for deep sea.
Deep sea. Okay. Alright. Yes.
Any not understanding concept is a tough concept, that will automatically easily understand the concept. using AI tools.
Correct. So that same thing he said, you're saying in a different way. He's doing mathematical concept and you're saying, just think, really, why am I doing this?
And
It is-
sometimes objective questions also were generated. Objective questions.
Objective questions. So you're going to use it for building system. The reason I'm asking you this is not to put you on spot. The reason I'm asking is force yourself to think, how will I use this? And the moment you do that, the action will come. If you don't force yourself to think, it is not going to become a habit.
One more thing, lesson plan also we can prepare.
Yes. But you're only allowed to tell one thing. So now somebody else has. Awesome work, yes.
Problem solving, sir, like some numericals and
Problem solving.
complex numericals.
Correct, but he already stated that. He already stated math. He already stated math and he said, I'm going to solve, I'm going to take. And he told concepts. I said no. So now you're doing problem solving. What else can you do? Everybody has to think, huh? Please.
Literature side.
Now her chance.
Take
Give chance.
it.
Good. Think. I will come back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, not mostly for teaching, but rather for research purpose.
Okay.
And,
Yes.
and mostly I have spent my lot of time in curating the literature review part. So that will consume the most of the aspect of
Wonderful.
preparing a research paper. So
Good.
Yeah, for me also most of the review papers and the research paper.
That he already said.
No,
Now we have to
already-
say something else.
We
that
want
you
any
will-
predictive data. So set up data, previous and IEEE papers of the transactions papers and all. So
Okay.
I'll just ask AI for that it will cumulatively give for my research area these many papers are there, so that I don't no need to waste time on that. I can go through.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, sir.
Sir, for lab related experiments, for coding,
Ah.
first initially we used to give complex coding for students.
Okay.
So they will put it into ChatGPT and they will come up with a simple code for that.
Yes.
So we also tried that. So in best way how to give it to them.
Wonderful. Over you.
Literature survey. Comparing different methodologies, we can get it. So what is the advantage of different, for one problem, there are different methods are there. So which one is best? But
See, all of you are telling very generic things. Go more into your own subject. Get into the depth of it.
So, but it will not be authentication will not be there. We have to verify the how much.
It depends on which tool you use. For example, if you use OpenAI ChatGPT, it doesn't give you source. Whereas you use Gemini DeepSeek, it will give you with source. If you use Perplexity, it will give you with source. Right? Perplexity I use only to understand how, not what. Ah, yes. I hope you are all redeemed it. Whoever is using Airtel, you the 1 year subscription is free. It's beautiful tool. Pro. Wonderful tool. Yeah, Mani.
So to prepare PPT is based on the data, graphical or chart-wise.
Wonderful. What tool you use?
So napkin model, napkin is there.
Okay,
Where
napkin
it
is there.
Convert whatever data you give, it will convert it into.
Yes. Yes. So I used Gamma. Gamma.app. Okay. To build this. Alright. Now I'm also using this to, because I spend time in this, I'm also putting this in my LinkedIn as well. So I have prepared PNGs using Gamma. Very, very different looking. Listen.
If you use it as a tutor, as you give an example, I don't know concept, ask it to become an expert in method.
Correct, but you're talking generic. What I want you to do is within your concepts of electrical engineering, within concepts of power systems, how have you used it to, develop something? Like for example, get more technical aspects of it.
So let's say I want to give a new topic to it, or let's say silica power. I want to go deeper into one topic and ask it to become an expert in the question. And then give me step by step of how to approach yourself to how you explain the concepts.
Wonderful. Okay. So primarily a lot of it is used, you're already using in terms of tutoring, in for research and all the other purposes. Right? Anything else out of the interesting? Anything else? Anybody else? Or it's going to be similar? Everybody's going to be
Also,
similar?
I've done synthetic data. Simulations, we don't have.
Yes, that is where I was. Yeah, so now you're talking, right, in terms of data, preparing data sets, understanding various anomalies. How do you do that, right? For your data analysis, how do you do a exploratory data analysis? See, for example, today in a class when you're talking about load forecasting, right? Are you going to like a like Kaggle or something, downloading a data set from there, and then saying, how do I now do an exploratory data analysis? A lot of times in electronics and this subjects, we don't touch upon structured databases. SQL is not part of our entire curriculum. How do you now use that to help students understand? Because see, okay, at the end of the day, in artificial intelligence and machine learning, nobody is going to escape from that, right? Now, how do you build those as a concept? It's very important that we shift gears a little bit there. It is very easy to tell a student, go ahead and analyze data. What are the steps of analysis of that data? Right? How do we break that down? How do we query? Because here is a tool that will help you do all of those things. Because it is not about writing a syntax. The syntax will, anyway, the LLM will generate the syntax for you. You have to introduce concepts of thought process into the students. Because you come from the field of EEE and you focus on that, you are delivering that, right? Now, how do you shift a little bit? Because if I have to adapt AI and ML into my subject, how do I develop the first few steps of ML that I will impart knowledge to my students? So it's that shift is important, and that is why I said go a little deeper, a little more technical, right? Collecting IoT data, right? Okay, the data comes. Before it comes to an Excel sheet, what are the various sources? How do you collect that data from these sources? It's a very important aspect because these guys are thrown into the field and then they are actually now struggling with them. Okay. So those aspects of it, before you even go to the modeling and aspects of it, it is very important for us to understand. And it's all about collaboration, right? We will have CSE lecturers, they will have definitely people who will understand structured databases. These are the things that we need to engage in our curriculum for, EEE students to understand. Okay? So that is where I was coming to. The reason why are we talking about these use cases, it forces you to think, because the fundamentals, if they are not strong, then they'll not be able to build on this. Okay? With that, I will stop my rant and my session. Thank you very much for all the questions. Hope you gained something from it.
Yeah, so any questions if we have, we can just ask with sir.
Questions? Time for questions. Yeah.
How to avoid hallucination in this scenarios?
How to get rid of hallucinations?
Hallucination.
Okay. Alright, what is an hallucination? Huh? What is an hallucination? First, let's define hallucination. Everybody's understanding of hallucination has to be same. Then I can answer that question. Right? What is hallucination? Hallucination is usually
Imagining that is not there, something which is not exist.
anything that is not existing is hallucination. Okay, let me go with that. Everybody agrees with that? Huh? Something okay, so with AI tools also relevance is not established. Context and relevance is not established. Okay? Now, how do I avoid this? It has to get trained. At the end of the day, training is the only way you can avoid hallucinations. Okay? It's a very simple thing to say, but it's a very difficult thing to do. Okay? So I'll give you a live example. I'm building a chatbot. I'm building a conversational chatbot. Right? A very simple thing, conversational chatbot. I built it in 3 hours in Azure. With a structured database, it was very easy. A SQL database, you put let's say for a retail industry,
you put a SKU code number of the product, it gives you the pricing, it gives you that. I have developed something. When you develop a chatbot, you have three things that you need to really focus on. One is the intent, entity, and response. Okay? Intent can be of a purchase, of getting information. Entity is the question that you ask, and the response is the response that you get. This you have to define for a chatbot, right? Now, when you define this, for example, what is your name? Is a question. The same question can be asked as, what do your parents call you? Right? The same question can be asked in, what is your good name? Right? The same thing can be asked as, what do you like to be called as? Right? So one question can have various things. So that is why the intent will be the same, entities will change, response will be the same. Right? Now hallucination comes to play. The moment you go ahead and ask a LLM to answer that, this is a simple question, fine, it's fine. But sometimes the LLM also responds in different ways. Alright? The same question you keep, that is where the hallucination comes, because the contextual understanding for the LLM, for that particular conversation, has to be maintained, and that is why the history is very, very important. The first question that you ask, the context that you maintain, and then you keep going. Therefore, training becomes a way. That is why it doesn't happen in one day or 2 days. It takes a year or two before you can, number one. Number two, it has to be industry specific. Training cannot be that, because for example today, now I'm trying to build a chatbot. I'm going the frugal way. Right? Frugal way is I go to Hugging Face, I have downloaded Llama, 7 billion tokens, I have downloaded that. Right? Now, that is where I realized that I have to build it to the industry that is more specific for. If I am building it for retail, within retail, what segment I am building. So I need to train the models based on that particular segment, so that the hallucination reduces completely. Right? And the third thing, one of the final things is also computation. Computation becomes very, very, very critical here. The more time it takes to think, the more time it takes to gather your data and all of it, and everything is not integrated properly, again hallucination. Computation is there. Yeah.
Why is hallucination?
So therefore, for example, I'll give you. Okay, so when I'm building a RAG, I built a RAG model for all. So I'm building it for one of the businesses that I do. All right. So there, my requirement is customer comes and asks for policy information. All right. I can retrieve it through a vector database. A vector database is a database where I can, through RAG, I can retrieve the information and I can dump that. I also use a structured database, where if there is a SKU coming in, alright, it will retrieve. My second phase is all about image recognition, because I am building it for the retail industry. Oh, I want, like for example, a lot of women, hey, I like this kind of piece of jewelry I've seen somewhere. Do you have something similar to this? Right? Dresses, do you have something similar to this? Things like that. That's the second phase that I'm going with. And it has to be specific to the industry. How do you now respond to that? Right? It has to skim through your own database, and it has to now respond in English or any other vernacular language from the LLMs as well. So those tokens have to be trained to your industry specific. So these are the various limitations that you have when it comes to hallucination. How do you now train? You have to get more and more narrower. You can't go broader. The more broad you go, the hallucinations will increase. How do you now narrow it down? And how do you now have a hybrid? Everything can't be LLM. You need to have your structured databases also work, because as things move, you want to be more specific. Right? Then comes another aspect of web scraping. Right? All of these LLMs, right? When they get specific, when you need specific information, when you build a model, you will get some information from the web as well. How effectively are you building that? That architecture, putting these all things together, is something that will reduce your hallucinations. I'm talking in terms of a conversational chatbot, but everything is a conversation. Any other questions? Anyway, that's my email ID. Alright. So you can get in touch with me. I will give this presentation to Mr. Manikandan and he can review that. I will send the presentation in the PPT format so that notes are also there. Right? No? There's no point me just sending you the bullet points. Okay. And then how do you make a report now out of this? You have, let's say, 10, 20 presentations. How do you make a report of all of that? Huh? Because Vice Principal has asked that, no? At the end of it. Right? So, again, the use of LLMs makes makes your life easier. I always tell all the students and I tell everyone, use the tools. Output, read it. Okay? I'll give you a small understanding of reading. I know it's a little off topic. You may be the best readers in the world. But how many of you are very fast readers? Fast reading? Anybody practices fast reading? Speed reading? No? Like, okay, how do you finish a book like a 300, 400 page book within a month, or within a week, or within 2 hours or 3 hours? Right? So just a small little concept. When you read anything which is non-technical as much, like reports and all of these things, alright? The first time, the normal reading speed that you today do and you've been taught, okay, is read word by word. Yes or no? Alright? So you read once and you think you will have 100% comprehension. And when you don't have, twisted ears have happened and said focus. You don't have focus. Please understand, even if you read word by word, very few people have 100% comprehension. Number one. Therefore, don't waste your time reading word by word. Okay? The second thing comes group. Right? Group the words. Like for example, one sentence. Even if you read the first 2 words of the sentence and the last word of the sentence, you know what is there in the sentence. Okay? And this is where there's a concept called skimming and scanning. Alright? The skimming and scanning helps a lot in terms of you reading faster. Okay? And number 3, do you remember why people earlier, when all our parents used to say use a finger? I'm telling you, this is what the magical thing is. Either use a finger or use a pencil or use anything to go through the line. Don't have to underline it. And the faster and also develop an urgency to you remember the urgency is, I don't know, all of you remember really great students. I was not a very great student. So for me was last minute studies was, a lot of things that helped. But I implement that quite regularly in my life when it comes to reading. Right? The urgency to finish. Alright? Initially you will find it difficult. But you keep practicing it. Trust me, your comprehension levels will really shoot high. So use that when you develop these reports. Finish it, and then you will at least have. Sorry?
Even if you walk fast and read.
No. So this is one thing is that never read when you're walking.
No.
You know why? Your mind is so tuned to do one work properly. That is why focus comes to play. And that is why you also see today, you're when you're on the phone, when you're driving and all of it, retention is not very great. Retention is actually near to zilch. You can hear to things, you can get into the audio mode. All your computers have audio mode right now. Your phone also has got audio mode. Whatever text is there, it will just convert to speech and you can listen to it. You can do that as well. Whatever report is there, you can feed it in and it can give you an output on audio mode. That's a very smart way to do as well. Okay. Alright, with that, thank you very much for your time. Again.
So, thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with this utilization of AI tools for which we can use for many purposes. And now I would kindly request Dr. Prem Kumar, sir, to hand over the memento and letter of appreciation to our keynote speaker.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much. I just want to mention a few things here. Sir, actually, sir is not having any electrical background. Actually, he is not having any engineering background also. is completely out of engineering, okay, but he is doing so many things in engineering. So it's because of his interest. Okay, so,
Curiosity,
yeah,
actually.
curiosity. That's fine. Yeah. So it's great thing. So we just listen so many things. Okay. I hope it is useful for every one of our faculty members. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now comes moment of truth. Okay, how did you enjoy this entire lecture or this session? Huh? Nice. Okay, so a scale of 1 to 5, nice is 3 for me. Good. Very good. I like it. Yeah. Okay. Tell me, because it has to. I need to understand. Did I connect with the audience? Did you know most of this already? Did you know most of this already? Yes, because you have this. Did it spark any kind of curiosity in your mind? Did it force you to actually say, go ahead and say, let's do a little more? Okay. Then that is my entire objective. So I have achieved that. Okay. And I'm open for feedback. Okay. So you can actually tell Manikanta whatever you want. Right. And then Manikanta and I will connect with them later and we will see what they say. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So go for the
Sure.
sir.
No, I don't want to sit.
So let me join.
Please come forward now. Please come. Otherwise, we'll all look very tiny. You know? So I will zoom out for you.
What we join? Why is there hesitation? Come fast.
So I think we will do this then. One more. This is a few more chairs. The rolling chairs. It's okay, don't worry about it. I also have the same thing as you have. That's what I was telling Mr. Prem. I come from the corporate world, so I don't mind any of formalities and all of that. I like to. No, I think we should have others sit down and then we can also stand. No. All right, I don't want to waste your time on that again. Please, man. Please. That's why we can. Are we all coming in now?
sir. Ma'am, Rachana ma'am, sir,
Which one? This one?
No.
One second.
Thank you. We have an official handle of LinkedIn for the.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Will you just send me the photograph as well so that I can also tag?
But
I plan to post
नहीं
the
रेडी
photograph as well
बोली
as
कि क्या
whatever presentation
उसका
given.
साइन लेना है ना उसका वही होगा डाउन होगा क्या वो
Share me all of that. Thank you very much.
That tag is not coming.
By the way, this Nambyadri comes in.
Maybe it will come to the.
One will come with tag, another one will come without. Once to
I ride the bike. So I usually. Yes, sir. No problem. I will do one thing. You just back this up. What is your name now? Sandhya. Where are you from, Sandhya? Bangalore only. What is the you are more of the administrative and accounting for this one, or you are also